Well, hello once again, everybody, and welcome back to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Sockers and the Major Arena Soccer League. Tony Sanchez is here. I'm Greg Elston. I'm here. It's Season 6. It's Episode 18. Time to circle the wagons as the Sockers drop another one to Chihuahua, dropping the standings of some. Not in our hearts, though. Time to circle the wagons around our boys, Tony.
It is that time of the season. It's crunch time. There is no time for error, no room for error. But we'll have a couple of areas of growth, I think, for the San Diego Sockers to hopefully achieve for the rest of the regular season.
We got a good one for you tonight, to be sure. On the show tonight, we've got not one but two match recaps. And I suspect we'll enjoy one slightly more than the other. We're going to do them both. We got the strikers, we got the savage from a weekend that was. What's it going to take to beat Chihuahua? We're going to ask our special guest, Felipe Gonzalez, always one of the most thoughtful guests we can get from the team. Monterrey, they are a special side. There's no question they're 20-0. But are they also living well? And has Baltimore just blasted their feet off, shooting away their playoff hopes? We'll examine the cases in MASL news. In Soccer's news, we've got all the details of FanFest for Sunday and even more, looking ahead toward the end of the regular season. That's the menu. It's Soccer's Overtime on a Tuesday night. We're your destination, the show of record in the MASL, and we're so thankful to have all of you there, especially our live viewers on Twitch. Thank you for finding us, twitch.tv/San Diego Sockers. If you're here, go ahead, give the channel that follow. If you haven't done it yet, give it the like, do all that such stuff. It helps the algorithm. If you're watching us on YouTube, I've been doing a better job, Tony. Been trying to do a little better job, get that up as fast as possible. Thank you for watching us on YouTube. Like, follow, subscribe, all of those things, do those things. If you're listening on audio, listening to the podcast, thank you. Podcast is cool too. All good. How about 5-star review? That would be sweet of you. However you're doing it, whenever, wherever, we thank you for being here. Well, Tony, how was things on your show last night? 2 balls in a mic.
It's good. I'm glad that soccer's back. The Sockers have been that constant for me personally, and I think I expressed it early on in one of the early episodes this season where I'm really happy that I have some team in San Diego that I can actively root for, like not necessarily have to be, following the rules of being in a press box and being impartial at times, but the San Diego Sockers were that different team. But now I get the other side of this devotedness that I have for the Sockers once again, because it's not just win. There are some hardships going through este corazoncito. I know a lot of people are already commenting their thoughts and are eager just to hear this session of just, ¿qué está pasando? And we highlighted something that we'll get to in our gaffes of the week. And let me just tell you, that's one of the things that I still cannot believe that went down in that Chihuahua Savage game. But in due time.
All in due time. We got to get there. We got Felipe Gonzalez set to join us in about 20 minutes. So let's go ahead. It might be 30 minutes the way it goes. We got 2 match recaps. Let's roll highlights for game number 1, Friday night, Star Wars night against the Empire Strikers. And you can see behind Tony the cool Yoda kits for the players. And right away, a little fortune for San Diego as it gets tucked into the net by Empire for an own goal, trying to center it for Tavoya. It goes off Quentin Swift, and it's 1-0 San Diego. Just like that, a nice, easy start to the match for the San Diego Sockers.
And honestly, something that's refreshing, right? Some good offense here early on, not even a minute into the game, and Tavoya already getting himself on the score sheet and involved with the own goal, as you're saying. But that's just kind of a foreshadowing for the first couple of minutes here of this first quarter.
Yeah, it seemed really good. And then on the power play, what? Sockers, first off, had to give up possession in order for the ball to even get to Gerardo. And then as he just kind of rolls it toward the net, it goes off Craig Childs and in Boris Parnell with the look of befuddlement. Why did that happen? It's in my net. It's 1-1. I thought we were on the power play. I thought it was our turn. Well, it was the Sockers' turn, and it would come right on out for a beautiful second look right there. That's awareness on the man advantage. It's Felipe finding Craig Childs for 2-1. Really sharp look on the power play here.
And this is what we know this team is capable of. These amazing plays that sometimes look a little bit more simple than they are. This pass on a rope to Craig and just prendiéndola, just making that beautiful contact and putting it out of reach. It's an amazing goal.
Childs right there, his 476th goal of his career. Here comes Juan Salazar. Salazar showing well, at least in moments in both of these matches this weekend. And then Brandon is just doing Brandon Escoto things. Oh, you think you're going to slide tackle the ball? Bryce Watson, please feel free to slide tackle my ghost as I go past you. And Felipe's just waiting to clean it up at the end.
Yeah, no, he's sending him packing here. Adios, adios. ¿Qué onda vas? Breaking ankles there. That's just quintessential Brandon Escoto. That's street ball at his finest as well. Que control.
Very fun to see Escoto having a great season. There's no question about it. He's having one of his better offensive seasons with San Diego. Sockers trying to find it on the power play. Pretty good defense by Orozco and friends in that particular exchange. Sockers scored their first power play, and then this happened. Gerardo, right there. The swing to the back of the head, the intentionality of the elbow. It's a two-man advantage. Somehow that was just a blue card. Tavoy's header gets blocked away by Orozco off the post for Charlie, who had a very snake bit weekend overall. And then right out of the box, Gerardo. And look at this. This could be the karma turning moment of the entire match. And he rims left post, and out. Very thankful for San Diego. Unthankful, the own goal here. And once again, Charlie just trying to get back and defend. Ball deflects off. Certainly unlucky. And nonetheless, for Fabian, it's his goal scoring streak extender.
Yeah, number 15 there. Consecutive games with a goal. And, that's just a happenstance that's there. Fortunate for him. But Fabian, to his credit, has been adapting very well to this game. And it's good to see play like that as well. But unfortunate for Charlie. That body language tells it all.
Both goalkeepers playing pretty well on this night. I thought Pardo had one of his better games of the year against Empire. Overall, solid. A lot of the things that happened against him were purely mistakes. This is no mistake. And it's good to see Christian Gutierrez scoring before the fourth quarter, scoring in the run of play, not just scoring against a 6-attacker formation. The Sockers need all hands on deck if they're going to get to a championship goal, Tony. And one of those is Gutierrez scoring goals. Only his fourth of the year.
Yeah, no, he really needs to kind of get into that groove. And then here we see somebody who is in his groove, in his bag, as they say, Boris Pardo, just doing a double save, doing the no in here. But again, it's going to be a defensive effort, offensive, and those players coming off the bench are crucial down the line here.
Undoubtedly. Now, in the final minute of the second quarter, a little bit of trouble for the Sockers, a little bit of a spillage, a blind attempt at clearance. It finds Fabian's right foot, which means it finds the back of the net. This is something we are getting accustomed to. Fabian nets a brace, but this is the third mistake goal out of 3 conceded in the first half by San Diego, which at this point you felt like they're playing good, but then you look up and you go, wait a second, we're facing a 3-15 team and it's 4-3 at the half. This is too close for comfort. So thankfully, the second half comes along and the Sockers immediately score as Javoy Morgan finds Cesar Cerda running down Route 1, and it's 5-3 and a good third quarter here, Tony, to kind of assuage the concerns for all involved.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is that we've seen these mistakes sometimes to get cleaned up throughout the matches, but they're happening. And if it happens against somebody like Strikers, what's it to say that's not going to happen against those important rivals that we have been seeing, like Chihuahua, like Tacoma at the end of the season? If we see them later on in playoffs, sea como sea, those things need to go ahead and change. So I'm glad that at least on the offensive side, things looked up here. And look, it's a team effort. That's a great defensive play by the offense.
Absolutely. It's guys teaming up that you love to see. And the boy at one point just getting bullish right there. The bull on his birthday, just bowling over people, crashing Guy out of the way. Get out of here, Guy. And nice, easy layoff for Churras for 6-3. Now, you don't like to see this. A simple turn of Pee Wee by Adam James. Pee Wee not having his best weekend defensively, that's for sure, as we'll see in the next video as well. But 6-4, again, some thoughts, but then how about this? Brandon Escoto, there's Felipe to be in the right place at the right time. Don't ball watch. Go to where the ball is. Always important. Felipe knows what to do. He's got the hat trick for 7-4.
And that assist right there, that wall of score is just something of beauty. That's called a palomita in Spanish, when you go and do that diving header, the Flying Dutchman that we've seen other players and strikers do. It's just that awareness to create that chaos. And if it goes in, it goes in. If it doesn't, you have somebody who's crashing in. And what a good hat trick goal, aesthetically pleasing all around.
Felipe from Tavoy. This is the hat trick goal. Tavoy gets a fourth assist in the match, a career high, 8-4. Winds up being our final score in this one, but you can certainly see how Felipe gets the invite onto the show. A great performance on Friday night, assists on goal number 2, and then scores a hat trick from there. His first hat trick as a San Diego Soccer. I'll need to ask him if he had one in Las Vegas or he didn't, but certainly his first in San Diego. I made sure to go research that. The rest of it, defense for the Sockers, a scoreless fourth quarter, which is nice to see because we hadn't been seeing that for a while. A little cramp for Bopa there as the fourth continues. There's Servando Berna, who was pretty nondescript, wearing red, put on green, and had a whole different attitude on Sunday. There, once again, Boris's fun seat of your pants defense right there. Anything that you can do to keep it out. The left hand warding, our front wave goal of the game. Yeah. Churras, Felipe, 8-4. Sockers beat the Empire Strikers. San Diego picks up the dub, gets to 43 points, 15th win of the year. A couple of things coming out of this one. I even mentioned this on the radio show on Monday. We do our weekly What's Good segment, and this was what's good for me, was the supporter culture on Tuesday night. It was incredible. And my only wish was that it was on Sunday, to tell you the truth, because, I mean, everyone came out for Star Wars night, and I love Star Wars night. It kind of made me feel like maybe we should schedule Star Wars night for when Chihuahua's in town, like just as a future thought for future years. But it was a coming together of at least some elements of almost every supporter group in San Diego. There you see the locals, Frontera Ultras, the 18th Battalion, the Riptides, all becoming brujos for a night. The best supporter culture we have seen here for a match, a regular season match, yet. I mean, I think of the first time that Chavos came in full. That was great. Playoff game, very, very good. But this was everyone coming together. It was the noise, it was the sound that I've dreamed of hearing inside the arena since 2015, when the American Outlaws came for a WMF World Cup match. And I thought, this is perfect. This changes everything for indoor soccer. Turn off the 80s music, let the sounds and the songs of the supporters come out. And it really was great. And admittedly, as Kay Vibbert says, it was a Friday as well. And it's harder on a Friday or it's easier on a Friday to get everyone together than it is on a Sunday to get everyone together. There's no question about it. I'm not criticizing at all. It was great to see what we saw on Friday, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of old friends, some new faces, and ultimately everybody came together to cheer on the San Diego Sockers and jeer the Empire as well. You know, it's part of it. It's part of the culture, and everybody keeps it respectful. Shout out to Papi Chavo, Adrian. You know, runs a tight ship over there, and I even went after to their post game celebrations at the parking lot because if that is something that inclines you to go, you might want to consider that as well. And just said thank you to everybody, every single group, just for coming out. They really changed the dynamic of that section, and that's exactly what it's supposed to do. And then I invite everybody once again to do it again. I challenge everybody, do it again. Why wouldn't you want to go ahead and have somewhere that you can support a San Diego team as genuine as it is, as organic as it is? Go ahead and get your wheels, the wind under your wings, because like it or not, all of these supporters are going to have to fill a larger section, that in Front Wave and Snapdragon come the next year. But it's actually absolutely amazing to have so many supporters out there. The noise that they came out, the smiles, the boom boom sticks also helps, just everybody kind of getting into it as well. And that can happen every single match. And again, we understand what the dynamics are of scheduling and whatnot, but I mean, I welcome everybody with open arms once again, and challenge everybody. Go for it. Do it again.
Just, a quick note. We can talk about this more later on, and even with Felipe. Sockers went 1 for 4 on the power play. So once again, not what you're looking for from the club in that aspect. Dropped them at that point to under 27% for the year and dead last in the league in power play. So that was one thing, especially scoring on the first one and then not scoring on the 2-man advantage, not scoring on the Gerardo penalty. Those were things that were disappointing. And speaking of disappointing, you can go to maslsoccer.com today and look at the discipline/suspensions tab and see under red card, additional game, and other suspensions issued the word none. Then you can go to fines, and you can certainly see fines for Felipe Gonzalez and Tavoy Morgan and Phil Salvaggio for their yellow cards. And you'll find absolutely nothing for Gerardo, and you will find nothing, little harbinger of a video to come, for Gustavo Rosales. And I really respect the hard job that the officials have to do. I'm going to be a little bit defending of them having a terrible game on Sunday. And they did. They had a terrible game on Sunday. But for this league office, which suspended Tavoy Morgan last year 3 games for getting tackled from behind by an official, an off-field official in Texas, and they alleged that he swung his hand when the camera angle was extremely non-determinative. They suspended him for 3 games. Brandon Escoto has gotten suspended in this league over and over and over again. Tavoy Morgan has gotten suspended in this league. Boris Pardo got 3 games for words. For words. For words. Not elbows to the back of the head, swung with intention. Words. And here's Gerardo as plain as day. On tape. First an elbow high, then a pull down, then a swing. That is a swing of the elbow. And he gets nothing. He gets nothing. He gets absolutely nothing. A 2-minute blue card. That's what he got for what he did. Just like what Gustavo Rosales wound up getting was a 2-minute blue card for what he did. I know you guys are watching. That's pathetic. It's wrong. And if y'all want to illustrate ever along the way that you're actually not biased against the San Diego Sockers organization, it'd be really cool to understand how it is that somebody swings on another player from behind. And by the way, somebody who has a recent and should be well-documented history of doing things to Tavoy. And nothing comes. I thought it was supposed to be messages sent. I thought we're trying to create balance in the league. I thought we're trying to avoid these types of things. Every time Gerardo's out there, he's trying to do something to Tavoy Morgan. And I get it that at the time they probably weren't ready to issue they should have issued a red right then when they looked at the play. They should have. We said it on the broadcast. I stand by it. I've looked at it over and over. What are they trying to say? That he didn't connect? What are they trying to say? Like, let's say that he didn't connect. Does that matter?
No, absolutely not. It's still the intent of it, and that's enough for a red card on its own, let alone, retroactive action, and that's an aggression. In the columns and in the game sheets in Mexico, there's a section, at least in Baja California, where it says aggressions, and that's when something gets taken above perhaps a red card. Above, it's just anti-football, anti-soccer, it's anti-sport. What happened there? If that's a sport you're going to get into, Jurado, I welcome you to choose a different night at Pachanga, and you can lace them up over there. But that's an absolute intentional. I don't even know if it's premeditated. What was the reason to throw an elbow there? What was the reason in a strategic, possible soccer way to do that? That honestly, it just reminded me of that conversation that was had here about potentially these two players' history, and that has to be known. People listen to this. If they listen to this, then they know when they don't agree with us, but they also have to take into consideration when fact is fact. And what we saw here is absolutely disgusting. I cannot condone that sort of behavior on any sport, in any sport at all.
It's deeply disappointing. There are layers, right? In lacrosse, that's called just a 5-minute penalty. In hockey, it's called a love tap. Like in soccer, it's a red card. And there's no padding. There's no defense for the player to the aggression. And Tavoy is a player who absorbs aggression. And does that mean that when you attack him, it's okay, but when he does something, it's not okay? This will literally come true in our next video, as Tavoy is penalized for something he didn't do, and then the player who did something only got a matching penalty. So let's roll it over, rip the Band-Aid, and get to the Sockers and Savage. And I just want to say that the beginning of this match was as well as we've seen San Diego play, I think, this season. Chihuahua played the entire 60 minutes with a great intensity, with a great seriousness of purpose, and the Sockers matched that throughout the first, 27 minutes and 32 seconds. Here's Brandon Escoto, again, not watching the ball. He is going to where the ball is. He is reacting. Escoto gets a goal simply because of that. Flavio Guzman gets the assist off a deflection. It's one of the ways you have to beat a great goalkeeper, Tony, is find moments where they have to move and where they're out of position.
Yeah, this was very well constructed here by the Sockers, just picking at the close windows that you have. Flavio getting a lucky deflection there. But again, Brandon Escoto being able to follow that play, something that we've seen and asked of him. Don't be flat-footed in those situations. You need to be attacking. Does that mean you're going to get the goal, or go ahead and lay off an assist as well? Either way, you have to be there. And what he did there was fantastic play. And they were really on top of the Savage. And the Savage was methodical as well. They were at their own pace, always measured in a certain way, and waiting for these opportunities.
Absolutely. As the Sockers grinding at 1-1, the defense coming through, and Boris Pardo coming through. That was a great opportunity on goal. And he comes up with it right there. Really smart move by Puentes, being anticipatory to where the ball was going to go, the type of movement that often results in a goal, and did not in this circumstance. Again, 1-0 there. Charlie blocking a ball off the line, getting some big-time love from Boris Pardo, and the Sockers holding a 1-0 lead. Almost a great golazo for Craig Childs right there. A little smile from Reynoso. He knew what was going on. Juan Salazar. Time for the Salazar show. Bursting along the half wall, fighting his way in, and what a goal, Tony. What a goal.
That was absolutely cathartic when it happened. Just creating something out of nothing. Salazar utilizing his speed, his strength, and every aspect that he has to his disposal. Winning a ball here. It's literally all Salazar, and he's a lefty, and to be able to put it exactly where Reynoso wouldn't even be able to react is a just altogether amazing, fantastic goal. All kudos to the Colombiano there, doing wonders there. I'm really liking that he's enjoying his play here.
At this point, 2-0 San Diego. Now, blue card here against the Sockers. And, when you get out of position, things can happen. Obviously, though, this is the point. You're really at this point in the match. The Savage are trailing, and the Savage are going to do everything they can to get back in it. This was a very artistically drawn blue card, but the Sockers get out of it. And then here we are, the moment that changes everything. This changes the entire match. And the man who does it and changes it is Gustavo Rosales. Gustavo Rosales, who has a very distinct reputation that he has earned over the years for red card worthy plays, for the dark arts, bites and pinches Tavoy in the crease. Here you'll see it much. Well, actually, the bite and pinch had already taken place. Then you see the tackle, followed by this, grabbing his leg, holding his leg. Tavoy Morgan gets a blue card for that. Tavoy Morgan gets a blue card for that. And then these two guys get together. They're asked to challenge. The blue cards come out, one for each player. We both said this is ridiculous. Here it is. Pinch on one side, bite on the other. You could see Tavoy instantly reach up to the moment where he was bitten. Luis Suarez got nothing on you.
It's ridiculous.
Mike Tyson. Just insane. These two guys go over to review, and I just don't get it. I just don't get it. To be perfectly honest, this is one of the worst calls I've seen in my time in the league. It's honestly amazing. And the thing that really bothered me, as you know, Tony, is when the challenge happened, the two officials got together and talked to each other before they went to see the film. And I really felt like they predetermined what they decided to call. But here's the thing. This is a 4v4 situation. And the Sockers never see the ball. They never see the ball. They play a man down 4v4. Pee-wee slow to get over right there. Quite unfortunate. Rough game for Pee-wee. And Kike Ribeiro scores. It's 2-1. And the remainder of this match, every time a whistle sounds, the Sockers go after the officials. Every time the whistle sounds, hands are being thrown up in the air, argument, why, and it's pretty hard when your focus isn't 100% on a championship team in your house to beat a championship team in your house, Tony.
Yeah, and Chihuahua really took all the meat off the bone in this one. They studied and they, knew what they were coming in to do, executed a game plan where I think it could have been a little bit different in terms of that discipline aspect as well. I understand, what do you do when you're in the heat of the moment? It's very difficult for us who's not inside of those walls to really be able to say otherwise, but there has to be some sort of understanding overall that let's go ahead and shut them up with our play. And the Sockers had been doing incredibly well up until the Tavoy incident. But I think, once again, that kind of discombobulated everything. But you got to snap out of that. You got to get forward and make sure that you're playing at your 100 at all times. Because, again, you were barely edging out Chihuahua at your peak. You were super focused. But that moment just definitely made that shift enough. And as we know, as the highlights show, that's the rest of the game here.
Well, what isn't shown in the highlight, because how do you really show it, is that the Sockers concede this power play opportunity by having too many men on the field, which is the kind of thing that for a veteran team is literally unexcusable. There's no excuse for it. If it happened like somebody fell or tripped or something, you'd get it. But power play conceded, power play turns into a goal. Eric Tovar, that's a golazo. It's a beautiful, beautiful shot. There's nothing to be done about it. And then taking advantage of a situation there. Craig Childs kind of caught on the field against Escalante. Escalante turns the captain, gets his left foot free, fires one in on Pardo for 4-2. Tough situation. 4 straight goals for the Chihuahua Savage. As again, always there's hands up. People are looking at each other, but the Sockers did not give up, Tony. And this is the part of the video I'm going to just be proudest of, is this club really fought. Although, wow, not maybe this particular pass. Not proud of that. That was very lucky. Very, 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 very lucky not to be 5-2. Basically should have been 5-2 right there. Team's focus was fractured, but they did stay with this on an ensuing power play. Charlie Gonzalez, 4-3. Charlie really needed that goal. Kind of had that look to him the whole weekend of just not feeling it, and huge goal for San Diego. 4-3 Sockers with the advantage. Tavoy still playing unselfish. Now, again, a thing you miss here is that Tavoy spent over 7 minutes in the penalty box to start the fourth quarter because he got a yellow card at the end of the third quarter. Now Charlie again trying to get that shot away. Sockers pressing for the advantage, pressing for the tie. And they get a gift. Gustavo Rosales gives it away. Brandon Escoto crossbar and down, but Flavio Guzman is there to clean it up. Gets that left boot through it. Ties the match 4-4. Great feeling at Pechanga Arena, San Diego. 3:40 to play. And the Sockers with the 4-4 tie, Tony.
And this is where you feel, again, the Sockers have that fire in them, and they're going to go ahead and fight to the bitter end. And this is a different season altogether, how it's already been shaping to be. But I really appreciate that you have the stars, you have the players coming off the bench, you have, in the beginning earlier, Juan Salazar putting his, body on the line against those walls, just doing everything they can. And this is the point where I'm just like, this is a great game, but it's going to take whoever's most focused and lasered into this match and dialed in that's going to eventually go ahead and win this.
And, it's easy to get mad at things that happen. This, to me, is just a physical series of mistakes by good players for the San Diego Sockers. Pino's on the ball, but the clearance is weak. He gives it to the other team. Pee-wee's flat-footed. Pee-wee gets beat. Pardo gets beat. That's it. He's beaten on the play. Pee-wee got beaten on the play. The result is a goal. The Sockers concede 21 seconds after scoring, after all that hard work. And, of course, as we see, sixth attacker couldn't even really get the ball over midfield at the end. Just misses the empty netter on deflection, and it winds up actually with, surprisingly, this shot from long away. Okay, I think it would have been late.
Yeah.
If it went in. But it was close. It was very close. 5-4, the final. Chihuahua wins. Chihuahua beats San Diego for the second time here. Chihuahua wins 3 out of 3 on the season. The Sockers take their third home loss of the season, matching the most in modern franchise history. Shocking in that sense. And 7-3 at home right now, which matches 2015-16 7-3 record, the worst record the Sockers have put at home. 7-3 sounds like an okay record, at least. But for the Sockers, there's a different level. This is a team that's lost 10 home matches in 10 seasons. 10 home matches in 10 seasons in the MASL. So to see 3 in 1 year, 2 against the same team, frankly, I think a lot of us are processing it, Tony. I think a lot of the fans are processing seeing a team that hasn't lost 4 games since 2019-20 to see them with 4 losses right now.
And it's a tough readjustment process, especially, again, knowing what it's been. I referenced earlier, just Chihuahua taking everything out of the bone. It seems like, the Sockers have been, having a banquet of delights this entire time. And, there's just an overabundance of riches. And we've been used to that. And we've been pampered in that sort of way as supporters here of the Sockers. But now when things are getting tough, it's going to really test the mettle of this team and these players individually. And not just individually, they have to come together as a team. And I think that's something that we saw glimpses of throughout the season. So it's possible with some of the injuries and players are going to start coming back. We'll see how that changes chemistry wise. But at the end of the day, I think the caliber's still there in these players. We both know that this soccer's team can take it to anybody in this league this season, but it's a matter of let's go ahead and get there and let's prepare with these upcoming games in order to be ready for that playoff push.
And again, the last thing I'll say, and we've got our player Felipe Gonzalez coming on, so I'm going to say it so he doesn't have to, okay? But Gerardo should have been suspended and fined, and Gustavo Rosales deserved a fine and quite possibly a suspension. He bit a guy.
Yeah, se pasó.
He bit a guy. And the league just is looking the other way on this. They didn't, the official told Phil Salvaggio on the field, if I see a bite, it's a red card. And then they say they see nothing. And everyone knows what happened. And I once again feel that if this were any other team and it was the Sockers on the other side, that the player would be facing perhaps a season-ending suspension because they'd need to make a statement. They'd need to make a statement. But only statements are made against the Sockers for some weird reason. That's where statements are made, is the Sockers players are put to a statement. When other players come in and swing an elbow at the back of the league's leading scorer's head and bite him and pinch and twist his chest and tackle him and wrap their arms around his leg many seconds after the whistle is blown and refuse to let go. All of that happened to Devoy Morgan this weekend, and nobody copped nada. Nobody copped nada for what happened along the way. And we can moan and complain and bitch, and they will say, oh, well, birdie. And I'm sorry. Actions speak a lot louder than anything else. It's tough. And I want to be very tough on this soccer side for letting their mentality get away from them in key moments in competitive matches. But it is tough to live under the double standard that is happening right now in terms of Devoy Morgan and the way things that happen to him are not being officiated. And the league seems to sometimes, and in the past, go out of their way to try and find something to fine and suspend Devoy Morgan for. Only Devoy Morgan gets fined out of this weekend when he was elbowed in the back of the head, bitten, twisted, and tackled, and had his leg held.
I think we should send whoever won the Devoy Morgan's jersey that night on the auction to get DNA sampled and just check to make sure that that's going to be there. I think that's going to be the only way we can get this league to look at this objectively. And it's unfortunate just because, again, this just taints the integrity of the league altogether, and it's only hurts, right? You're supposed to protect the players. La liga está aquí para proteger a los jugadores y hasta ahí. Like, that's what it needs to be. And unfortunately, it's not that way if you wear San Diego Soccer's crest. And until proven otherwise, that's unfortunately the way things are. And again, prove us wrong.
Hey, we're the guys who can say this stuff on the show of record. We don't need the players to say this stuff because the league will fine and suspend them. The league will fine and suspend them because it's a soccer saying something. Never mind if you take an elbow to the head or you take a bite to the neck. Let's welcome in our special guest. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. I mean, look, sometimes I got to stand up for my boys. I'm sorry. Here's Felipe Gonzalez, one of the gentlemen of the league. Welcome, Felipe.
Hey, Craig. Hey, Tony. Once again, thank you guys for having me, man. It's always a pleasure.
Let's reflect
and just just to make it real quick, don't want to say much, obviously, but I completely agree with everything you said, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Fair enough. Yeah, just Marshawn Lynch it, buddy. I'm just here not to get fined. I'm just here not to get fined. So reflections on the weekend that was. Obviously, it's not what you guys wanted. You knew you were going to beat Empire. You wanted to beat Chihuahua so bad.
Yeah. I knew, we knew, going into that game against Ontario, they're a young team, but I still feel like we have the upper hand on them regardless. Yeah, they can keep the close game by 1 or 2, but at the end of the day, to be quite honest with you, I still feel like we're gonna pull away with the win against them. On the game against Chihuahua, it was bigger than us. It was more of that pride and respect that we have for ourselves and that badge that we have on our jersey, and saying, you know what, we can't go the season losing 3 games against them. There's no way we can't pull one away, especially at home, But unfortunately, the body imbalance, the way we wanted it to, and we got that loss. Do I feel like we played better against Chihuahua than the last time we played at my home? Oh, absolutely. Do I know and feel that we slowed down in the third quarter and that's where we got punished? Again, absolutely. I'm nothing taken away from Chihuahua. They're a very good team. They're a very strong team, but not for them to go ahead and take those three games from us. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, and we're kind of on the topic, obviously, Chihuahua being the protagonist of some of those losses, the 3 losses here at home. What's that conversation like, or what's that headspace? Just knowing that that is the case, that is a fact. Resalta eso when you look at the stat sheet that stands out here this season. What's that process? Of just making sure that moving forward, we continue to get better here as a team.
At the end of the day, we feel and know that I think we're gonna end up playing Chihuahua in the conference final, and so we know we got to face them again, and it all comes down to us buckling down and knowing what's ahead of us, and to be quite honest with you, holding that grudge. For me, I'm gonna hold that grudge until I'm able to beat them again. And if we're going into this conference championship game against them, without holding a grudge or anything like that, I feel like you're playing the wrong sport, man, or you shouldn't be playing at all, because you got to take pride in what you do. And losing 3 times to a team in a season, twice at home, says a lot. And then you guys mentioned it. We've lost 10 times at home in the last 10 seasons, I think you said, Craig. And the fact that we lost 3 at home this year, it says a lot. So we're definitely looking forward into playoffs, but we do absolutely have them in mind, and we got to be able to pull the win against these guys if we want to make sure that we make the Ron Newman Cup championship.
Felipe, there's a couple of things that have just become like trends within the organization, and I think all of us share the same attitude, right? You just want to dig into this and say, what does it take? What's it going to take for this team to beat Chihuahua, beat Monterrey down the road, but take it one step at a time to get to where you want to get? And I thought that a lot of Sunday's match had a mental aspect to it. Chihuahua comes in with kind of a relentless mentality. They are grinders. They are methodical. They are very intentional in the way that they are trying to work you guys for 60 minutes, and they do not take a break. They do not let up on you, and that's something that Hanoni has clearly installed in the club. I felt that, listen, when you guys got shafted with some really bad calls, and you got shafted with some really bad calls, but I really thought it affected the way you guys played in the second half.
Yeah, aside from what you just said, some of those calls were where we looked at each other and said, like, how did you make that call? How did you not make that call in our favor? Or how did you pull out 2 blue cards at the same time when it should have just been 1? I think at the end of the day, it's the mental mistakes that killed us. And those mental mistakes come from us sometimes, at times, being too focused on the referee and not being able to, okay, calm down a little bit, control those emotions and settle back into the game and realize what's more important at that moment, and that goes a long way. And let's say, maybe we're not even yelling at the referees, right? But at the end of the day, we still got to be mentally ready and focused for 60 minutes. Because if we're not focused for 60 minutes and it's 40 minutes or 45 minutes, that can happen. And that it showed on Sunday. We were not focused for 60 minutes and we were on the bad side of it, unfortunately, So I just feel like we got to be able to mentally be ready. And at the end of the day, just dig deep because Chihuahua's the type of team that's not going to stop working. They're not going to stop hustling. They're not going to stop pushing you and shoving you and running and getting in your face or whatever it may be. And we got to be able to match that. If not, you know, be above that. Play better, play harder, play faster, just in every aspect. And unfortunately, we're not firing in all cylinders right now. Defensively, we were set for 30 minutes, and then we lost it in the third quarter. And that's not okay. That's not okay. We got to be ready to play 60 minutes, and if we're not ready to play 60 minutes, then what happened on Sunday is going to keep happening, especially if we're looking for into making the championship match and lifting that cup up at the end of the season. We got to be able to play 60 minutes. There's nothing else to it.
And we're talking about the mindset of things here and keeping it cool, tranquilos. But another aspect too is that teams are taking notice and about these aspects this season, and they're also getting a little bit more physical with the Soccers. Have you noticed that? As a team, noticed that as a whole, that some teams are getting a little bit more testy and just getting a little bit more rudos in there? And what's the way to respond the best? Do you go ahead and match that, but also maintaining that level of composure? Pero sí le están entrando duro, canijo.
Yeah. I think if you ask me, the way I look at it, at least, these teams have to be physical with us, because if they're not physical with us, we're gonna just, in my opinion, right, we're gonna outplay them. We're gonna outplay them if they're not physical with us, and it showed. I think Kansas City was one of the first teams. Well, not first. Other teams play was very physical, but Kansas City, they're much more physical than usual. And we just got to prepare and be ready for that at the end of the day, and we got to be able to do the same. We also got to be physical, but we got to be smart about it. We can't overdo it or make it excessive or do too much. Be aggressive, be ready, be physical, to where it's not too much. And we just got to make sure that we don't overdo it, because we don't want to keep getting those calls against us where it's going to jeopardize the outcome of the game.
I mean, it's very simple, right? It's math, Felipe. They get a blue, you get a yellow. They're going to sit for 2. You're going to sit for maybe 7, maybe 8, maybe 9 minutes. You don't know how long you're going to wind up stuck in that box.
Yeah. I mean, you're in there for 5 minutes technically, right? But if the ball doesn't technically go out of bounds, you're stuck in there for another 2, 3, 4 minutes, like you said, Craig. So we've got to get ourselves out of that situation. It's frustrating, very frustrating at times, to be honest with you, because we're all humans, right? We all make mistakes, and we all have emotions running in us. So it can be hard at times to not say anything, or to not maybe wave a hand or whatever it may be, right? It's normal. I think it's very normal. But like you said, we got to be smarter about that, because we should not be spending 7-8 minutes in the box. We should be spending those 7-8 minutes on the field, figuring out what to do and how to get better and how to turn the score around in our favor.
Oh, and I'm going to follow up on that too, Felipe, because it's really kind of the last thing, right? We're all together. We've circled the wagons. That's the name of the show. Circle the wagons. We're inside the wagons. We're safe. We're chatting with each other. How are we going to hold off this horde that's outside? And when they get physical, I think you boys got to get precise. And that turns me to the power play. San Diego is last in the league in power play. You are putting in basically 1 out of 4 blue cards and turning them into goals. And when that happens, that means teams get 3 free blue card fouls against you every game that have the physical impact of hurting a player, have the mental impact of getting you mad, and also have the tactical impact of often leading to yellow cards down the road that you take a disproportionate penalty. I've said it so many times, Felipe, but if you guys score 50+% on the power play, no team in the league can be physical with you, because it means a -2 goal differential every game.
Correct. And you're right, because maybe these teams do come in looking at these stats and say, hey, let's just be a little bit more physical, right? They're last in the entire league in power plays. So we have nothing to lose. we'll make it a coin toss, and it'll probably end up in our favor regardless, and that's what we got to realize and get better. We know, like I said, we're not firing in all cylinders, and that's one aspect of it. That's just one little section. And what do we got left? 4 or 5 games. We got to do something to pick up that percentage and make it look better. And if we get 4 power plays in a game, we got to be able to get 3 in the net. And it all comes down to training and going back to the drawing board and kind of figuring out what works best for us. Going back to maybe what we did last year or the year prior to that, to where we were. I felt like we were scoring a good amount of our power plays. But whatever it may be, whatever we work on this week, we definitely got to touch base on the whole power play situation, and turn the page, make it better, because power plays, like you said, are crucial. And if we're not connecting, if we're not putting them away, then it's not going to help us, right? And we need to all around get better in every way possible right now. And we got a few games to figure that out and hopefully get it together. So we're hoping for good things right now, man.
Yeah, y como dijiste, you mentioned it earlier, right? If you compare this Chihuahua match against the last 2 that you'd have, I think there is an increment, and you guys have been playing well. Anotaste 3 goles, o sea, things are being they're on the upturn, right? So, what about the squad right now is really a positive that you're taking, as far as, you know what, we may have already gone through this, but just wait in these 4 match days. This is going to go ahead and happen. Be ready for playoffs. What are you noticing on the training ground, and with you as well? Because are you enjoying your play as well?
So I'll go ahead and talk about the team first. I think losses are important, and we have to just basically learn from them. That's all we can do at this point. We can't put our heads down and give ourselves such a hard time and dwell on those moments, right? We kind of got to just let it go and learn from it, which is what we're doing and what we have been doing. And I think it's part of the reason to why our play was better on Sunday against Chihuahua, because we learned from those mistakes that we made against Kansas City, and I feel like we all around played better. Absolutely, in my eyes, right? We dropped the ball a little bit into the quarter, like I said, little mental mistakes, which can be fixed, right? But I feel like we're going to be headed in the right direction, and we are headed in the right direction. I feel like we're going to go into playoffs, playing strong, playing better. It's just about the team coming together and figuring it out and making sure we're all on the same page and working for each other and helping each other out. We're at the end of the day, we're in this together. We lose together, we win together. And there's no other way around this at this point, other than coming together and digging deep, more than anything, digging deep in the ups and the downs. When we're up high, how do we control that? When we're down low, how do we weather the storm? Little things like that. So I feel like we will be okay. I feel like going into playoffs, these guys will understand that it's going to be really important that we dig deep. And we don't have the luxury right now to, I think, if I'm not mistaken, to lose another game. We got to make sure we try and get that home field advantage for the playoffs, which is crucial. So that's going to play a big part, And as for me personally, I'm happy with what I've been able to do and kind of help out the team in any way, shape, or form, offensively or defensively. I think we've spoken about this before, guys, and Craig knows. I'm always going to play for the team, regardless of what position you put me in. Obviously scoring goals is always a bonus, but winning is always better than scoring and whatnot. So
yeah, it puts you on the right team, Felipe. You're on the right team. You've been on the right team. Just real quick before you go, because I wanted to make sure for the notes, you got that hat trick Friday. Did you ever have a hat trick in Vegas, or was that your first MASL hat trick?
I did have a hat trick before. I'm not sure if it was MASL at the time. It probably was. If I remember correctly, I think I did. But with the Sockers, this is, if I'm not mistaken, my first hat trick. Yes.
Yep. No, I looked it up.
Oh,
Mate. I
okay.
wasn't gonna be wrong. You know, when I write something in the recap, I'm not gonna be wrong. So the
Yeah,
only
yeah,
thing was
yeah.
I couldn't look up Vegas because there's no. It's like a magical time. There's no records of anything that happened. What
Yeah,
happened
you
in
know,
Vegas stayed in Vegas, Felipe.
absolutely. No, I agree. What happens over there, it doesn't matter anymore. It's what happens here at this moment, at this time, and with this team. So, so yeah, I was excited. I was happy, that I was able to help out the team with those 3 goals. Scoring, like I said, I'm always gonna say the scoring is always a bonus. Um, but I'm happy with my performance right now, and I feel like every year that kind of goes by, I feel like personally, in my own opinion, I'm just kind of I feel like I'm getting better in that sense. So I'm looking to keep pushing and keep helping out the team in whatever way I can. So that hopefully we can lift that trophy up at the end of the season. So
Hey, you're aging like a vintage wine. You're just growing in value all the time. You are on 6 penalty points, so be very judicious about when you pick up your 5th yellow card, which I'm sure you're going to at some point, you mouthy little friend of mine. So, like maybe consider doing that in the second to last game of the season.
yeah, so that I like at the end of the day, man. Look, and because I'm not gonna say anything wrong, and I'm gonna say it because it is what it is. And first they say you can't, it's for dissent, and then they say, oh, you can't wave your hands, and that makes it hard on a player in general. So it makes you think, okay, so what can I do? I'm gonna put my hands down and just walk away and like pout, or no, like we're all humans at the end of the day, but it's like first you want to give me a card because it's dissent, then I don't say anything, but then I wave my hands and that's also not okay. It makes it hard, it makes it hard, and it's normal when you got emotions running in you. You're gonna talk with your hands at the end of the day, So whatever. That's the least of it. Yeah. Thank you, Tony. That's exactly it, man. That's exactly it right there. So, you know what? Nothing taken. At the end of the day, it all comes down to us, the 16 guys that are on the roster, and making sure that we pull through and get that W at the end of any game. So,
We'll
yeah.
let you go, buddy. Thank you so much. That was really good. Listen, your coach is Italian. I mean, what are you going to do? You're used to seeing the arms get out there.
Absolutely. At practice, at film, anywhere it is, those arms are flying, man. So,
Oh my
absolutely.
gosh. Well, Gerardo's arm was flying too, but that's a different story. Never mind. All right, we're going to let you go.
Yeah.
Felipe, thanks so much, buddy. We'll see
All
you
right.
down the road. We'll see you
Thank you,
Sunday at the
gentlemen.
arena.
Have a good evening, man. Thank you guys for
Seguimos
having
con
me.
huevos. Vámonos.
You got it. There he goes. Felipe Gonzalez. Sometimes I just like to stir the shit. I'm sorry. Sometimes I feel like it needs to be done.
But aren't you glad that, it's one of those situations? I'm glad that he's on the team and not playing against the team. Like, that's the type of fire that this team needs and has been having. And I think with that lead by example type of situation is going to pay dividends here at the end. And I'm really happy with where mentally Felipe is, just because again he needs to make sure that he's aware. He's incredibly aware of what's going on in there, but you can't have that intensity without having all of 100 of the players. So, I think it was very honest there. I really enjoyed that actually, 100%.
There was a lot of intentionality in inviting him on today's show. I really think he's one of the, if not the most thoughtful players on the team, and I think he's one of the most honest players. Not that there's a bunch of dishonest players, but you know what I'm saying. Just like he speaks from the heart, he speaks from his mind as well. He's very open. And I thought that was a really productive and fruitful discussion. And I think we're all in agreement on the things the Sockers need to do better to win a championship this year. And they haven't done those things yet. And if they don't do those things, they'll come up short to Chihuahua in the semifinals. But if they do those things, they've got as good a chance as anybody to win the championship, which is a good transition to MASL news. Let's transition to MASL news. All right. So Monterrey's 20-0. And MASL Mexico is 31-0. 31-0. against the 11 American sides this year. That's amazing. We're almost at the point where, as a fan of just statistics, and dominance and seeing things play out in kind of a sports poetic way, like if the two Mexican teams literally never lose to an American team the whole year, make it their season, and then face one another for the championship, what do we have to say? What can anyone say about it other than they're the best and you're the rest? 31 and beep, beep, oh, is a real thing that's happened in this league. So on the very top, you just have to, tip your cap proverbially. And now we look at Monterrey, 8.5 goals a game, almost a plus 100 goal differential. They're averaging a 2+ goal win per match. Penalty kills dynamic. Power play is not great, but no one's power play is great this year. They've won 20 in a row. On one level, you go, this is the dominant team, and there's just no way that anything's going to happen other than Monterrey winning the championship this year. You might be right. But I got to tell you, Tony.
¿Qué pasó?
I was here for 2018-19 for the San Diego Sockers, a team that went 23-1, but they lost their third game. They won 21 in a row going into the playoffs. They won their first 2 playoff games as well. They got to 23. But along that way, in that 23-match winning streak, they won 6 different times in overtime. They kept pushing it to the limit. They kept taking it to the edge. And then they would get to that edge and they would back off, and they would dance off the edge. They would somersault off the edge, having won the game. And then they got to a 1-goal match in the conference or in the league semifinal, in the conference final against Monterrey. And they were up 1 with 3 minutes to play and found a conceding goal on a mistake by a good defender. And then they gave up against the run of play, a goal from Miguel Vaca, and they lost. And it was 3-2 final, and the Sockers were out of there. They never lost that 1-goal game. They never had that unlucky moment in the season. It came at the worst absolute moment. And if I was a Flash fan, this would be concerning to me right now. I would literally be rooting for them to drop a game along the way, just to remember what it feels like to lose. And of course, when they get to the playoffs, they won't have a situation where it's 1 game that they lose and they're out. That's what happened to the Sockers that year. It was a worse setup for the league. They'll have a safety net in the playoffs no matter what. They could lose a game in every round and they could win the championship. But I do think that when you play this fast and loose, the Flash are 9-0 in games that were 1 or 2 goals this year. 9 of their 20. 45% of their matches this year are 1 or 2 goals. 6 of the 20 are 1-goal matches. Most of those have been on the road, and they have pulled out some wild games. This is one that it didn't look like they were going to pull out, Tony. They were losing to Mesquite in the 4th quarter. It kind of felt like just what I was talking about. Like, okay, here's that game.
Yeah.
Here's that game that you didn't quite play well enough, and you drop one on the road, and you go, okay, there's that loss. We regroup, we resettle. And no, they pulled it out again. It's wild.
Yeah, and I mean, how sustainable is it to keep redlining this hot rod, right? Like, I don't care what engineering you have in under the hood, but that's going to take its toll. I can definitely see that, you need to get this malaise out of the way, because as the great Lady Gaga once said, Monterrey is on the edge of glory right now. And this is the price that you have to pay, because you're teetering on this super thin edge of the sword. That's going to catch up at some point. And if your luck is going through the championship, then I think, that's been written and you deserve it because you've been the best team in the league overall. But that's not how this league is set up. It's not necessarily set up for the success of the first place team of the Supporters Shield winner to go all the way and win the Ron Newman Cup. That everything just kind of resets once playoffs set. There's new mentalities. There's playoff teams. There's playoff players. All these different dynamics start coming across. And this is the first year that this particular team, this unit, will be facing other good teams in the playoffs, right? Monterrey can beat Savage once again in this final match that they have coming up. But if their time runs out at the inadequate time for Monterrey, then it's anybody's game at this point. And, we can be looking at back-to-back Savage, or potentially Soccer's getting their act together and, making that final push. It's not over. It's not over till it's over. And I think it's going to play out for some really good competitive playoff soccer.
I agree with you. Meanwhile, in the East, down below Monterrey, where the Flash have already clinched the East and are now, I think, one result away from clinching the Shield. I think they're right. I mean, 58 points. Yeah. Let's do the math real quick. So they're at 58. They've got 4 left. What are we at? We are at 43. And we have 5 left. So the most we can get is 68. That would be tied. There's no head-to-head. I think second tiebreaker's goal differential. They've basically won the Shield.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. Their next win will take care of that for sure. So you can just go ahead and back pocket that, throw it away. Monterrey's winning the Shield. The bottom of the East, or the middle of the East, is quite interesting. Kansas City has done what they've had to do. They won the 2 games in California. They came back. They got another dub. And the Comets are now back to being a 1-point virtual or true lead over Baltimore. They've got 4 more matches played, but with a 13-point lead. If you gave Baltimore all 12 points to catch up, it would be 36-35, Kansas City with the advantage. So big kudos to Kansas City for doing what they've done, winning those 3 matches in a row. We said it before the 2 teams met that Kansas City was really up against the wall and that they had to win at the minimum 4 of their last 6. And they've won 3 of 3 out of that 6 with 3 left to go. So Comets doing what they need to do to get into the playoffs. For the Blast, Tony, and I had said that I would have to wear a Blast jersey on Soccer's Overtime, disgracing this sacred ground, defiling it. Really, yeah. I mean, let's be real about it.
It's the internet.
I don't know if I could come back from that as a Soccer's voice. Now, if they sent me a Stan Stamenkovich jersey specifically, I think that would stem it somehow, because he's like a Hall of Famer. So it would be okay. But I don't think Brad Crossley has to worry about this. I don't think Gio has to worry about this at all, because Baltimore, we said it last week, was facing a 4-match set that they could easily lose all 4. And then they went on out and they got smoked on their home floor by Milwaukee. And then they got smoked on the road by Utica City. They got completely blown to smithereens this weekend. Blast, boom. IED inside the locker room is how it went for Baltimore. So really no bueno for the Blast. They've got this weekend at Chihuahua, at Monterrey. Vaya con Dios, Blast. Vaya con Dios.
And you know what? For the sake of it, why don't let's both put something. If they somehow win a game or 2, then I'll wear a jersey too. I'll find one. Find a circus tent, a decommissioned circus tent in Baltimore, and put the Baltimore Blast crest on and send it over.
I mean, the colors are the same. How could you tell the difference? Yeah. So, look, Baltimore, you had a nice run in the middle of the year, but we picked you to miss the playoffs for the first time in 10 seasons of the MASL at the start of the year. We said you'd finish 5th, but in our hearts, you'd finish last, because for the Blast, if you're not first, you're last. So, do you like apples?
I like when history's made. We are witnessing history, right? First year not making it. So
We are all witnesses. And now, lastly, in MASL news, the race that no one will admit to, the race that no one will dare admit. Milwaukee and Kansas City and Utica are all just going to say that they just want to be in form going into the playoffs. All they want to do is qualify, get into the road to Ron, and go chasing the Ron Newman Cup. But it's a dirty lie. They all want to finish second or third. No one wants to finish fourth and lose to Monterrey in the first round. Are you kidding me? So this is the battle now, and it's a fun battle. Like, at the end of the year, we're looking for races. There really aren't any for the most part. There's us trying to hold off Chihuahua. That's a real race. And there's this, the scramble for second place with Utica and Milwaukee and KC all within 3 points of one another.
It makes things interesting, and I really am enjoying this mid-table battle, and it's that everybody's climbing up the ladder, and the fire's coming up, and you just don't want to be caught in that dead last place, because it's going to catch up, and you are going to be torched if everything goes right. And once again, I welcome chaos. If that's not the case, whoever's in fourth wants to have a Cinderella season, by golly, go for it. Like, I welcome that, but I'd be a fool to put any real stock into that. Anybody who's going to be in fourth, just pack it up. Give all the giveaways, the rest of the giveaways away.
As K. Vibbert says, I mean, sure, in the West too, Tacoma's trying to get out of fourth, obviously, because we've beaten them 5 times. We've got one more game against them. They'd love to jump up to third and at least take on Chihuahua. I mean, honestly, the Stars have no chance against Chihuahua. They haven't been close in those games. The Stars already got Mijatovic on loan. Maybe they're going to get Stinson on loan. And we are in MASL news, so let me just say this real quick. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to your tender ears. What's happening in the league right now is bullshit, because loans are now becoming just a thing in the MASL. And that's not how it's supposed to work. It's just not how it's supposed to work. There were loans in the COVID season when teams were inactive and they were loaning players to active teams. There have been loans in the league for players who are unable to play in the United States because of visa issues, being loaned to Mexican teams so that those players could earn a living and play. Kind of an egalitarian move by franchises. And by the way, the Sockers loaned Ismael Rojo and Pollo Ruiz and Irvin Mojica to Monterrey. They still own the rights to those players next year. But of course, if they don't get P1 visas, it doesn't matter. They can't come up to the United States and play. They can come to the United States and play. They can do it as a Mexican team where they're getting paid in Mexico for what they do. If they're trying to get paid in the U.S., they can't do it. But to have an American team that just happens to be below the playoff line, loaning players to an American team that's above the playoff line in order to make money on the loan, save money on the salary, and just get the player back, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's no valid reason for this to happen in the MASL. And if I sound like a whiny little petty bitch tonight, I'm sorry. But we saw in each match this weekend garish examples of physical things happening to Sockers without repercussion. And you've got teams trading players to other teams, which is not a trade, without repercussion. I've tried to do some digging on this. I'm not going to do anything that's beyond what I've been told I can say. I do believe that this is something that will change in the offseason. I think this is something that is going to change in the offseason, which means it's wrong right now. It means it's wrong right now They know it's wrong right now. And quite possibly somebody in a position of power, maybe not our glorious triumvirate, is managing to wield their influence in a manner that allows these types of things to occur. It's garbage. It's semi-pro, straight up. It's the type of thing that happens at the Water Tower League where some team is 1-9 but has a good player, and that player wants to go play on the 6-1 team.
Yeah. I was gonna try to defend, but no, you're absolutely right.
That's literally what happened, right? Oh, hey, come on, we got to go get Johnny. Have you seen that guy? That dude can ball. I don't know why he always goes out with his friends.
There's a fun term.
Those guys suck.
We have a term for that. It's called cachirul. You bring somebody over. It's like that's the ringer, like cachirul.
Yeah. So I want this to end in this league, and you know, Tony, the best way for this to end, the only way for this to end, is for the San Diego Sockers to get a loan.
Do it.
For the Sockers to get a player on loan, because the day the Sockers get a player on loan, somebody's got to get a yellow card. Somebody's got to get suspended. Some rules got to change. Some bylaws got to be rewritten because, God forbid, we got to make a statement. We got to make a statement around here.
It's the most whose line is it anyway league I've seen with the way that it's happening. We're just making up the rules and the points don't matter, it seems. So
Marlicia's standing up for the valor of the North Park Water Tower Indoor League. That you couldn't move up.
Yeah, it might be more reputable and have stronger laws.
Somebody tell Mijatovic. Get back to the other team. Get on back now. You hear? It's just wild to me. I'm sorry. It's just wild. Some things happen in this league that I cannot explain, and several of those happened over the last 5 days. So
we'll wait for an explanation, I guess, for a reason. That's never going to.
The president of the league says this sport's going to be more popular than the NHL in 7 years, and that they have a plan. Okay. Let's wrap things up. It's going to be promotional stuff from now on, league. You can go ahead. You can tune out. What the heck is wrong with you guys?
How is this?
Elbow to the back of the head.
How?
Bite to the shoulder. Bite.
We need to get a refund from the league on the extra cameras that are used for the assistant video review, because clearly they're not being used. So I think we are, we're owed some money.
A grim day for the MASL.
We will send the footage. We have the footage. Look, let me show you how just vicious. I don't know if you saw this angle, Craig. This is just the most vicious angle. We got the Kurt Angle ankle lock on display. It was just disgusting what was happening.
Yes, look, that's it right there. There you see it. It's as clear as day.
Just filthy. No right to have that individual there anymore. It's get him out, arrest him. De roja y de cárcel. Go to jail.
Blue card on the soccer squad. Obviously, blue card on the soccer squad for that. Also, blue card on Sonny. Maybe. Maybe. But that's okay. That's okay. That's all right. Okay. Soccer's news. Let's all lighten up. We all need something to kind of reset, refresh. Let's help out for some charity. Let's throw some cornhole. Let's do it. How about Soccer's Kicks and Toss Charity Cup? This is coming up on March 30th, prior to the Soccer's regular season finale. It is happening at Pechanga Arena, San Diego. It is a cornhole tournament. So if you're good at tossing the sandy bags, this is the place for you, and it'll benefit Rally for Riley and Friends, one of our great sponsors, one of the great charities that we have helped sponsor over the years with the golf tournament and other things. And it'll be conducted by the Southern California Cornhole Association. Just $60 to get your tag team in there. Biting is not allowed unless you bite Tavoy Morgan, in which case it's fine. SDSoccers.com/cornhole is the way to get signed up. So check it out. The Soccers Kicks and Toss Charity Cup. Toy Runner is Cornholio. Well, then you should be good at this game. You should be good at this game.
See, why can't it all be smiles, Craig? Why can't we just go to rainbows and sunshines as it once was?
I know. Wild stuff. Callan just asked a really, really good question, and I actually do have some answers. Great work by Soccers fans around the nation, around the world. Special Olympics cleared over $3,200 on Friday. Navy League cleared almost $3,500 on Sunday in terms of charitable donations, proceeds from the Soccers game-worn autographed jersey auctions. So thank you to our great Soccers fans and to the fans around the country that bid on kits. Almost $3,200 for Special Olympics, almost $3,500 for Navy League. So really, really well done. Great stuff. Enjoy the kits. Have a lot of fun. That is it's great work. Great work, San Diego Soccers fans.
Yeah, great causes too. So always coming out. This is the community that's built here of excellence on and off the field.
Oh no, I left my sugar skull scarf outside. Please vamp for just a second, Tony.
I got you.
Hang on. I'll be right back.
All good. All right, so we're here down in the South Bay, and we want to thank everybody who's been supporting us and being gracious all across the Grand Old Arena and in the chat throughout, defending the Soccers in other matches. I've seen people who are in the chat now, and I'll watch a random Tacoma match, and Soccers have nothing to do with it, and you guys are there. So thank you for that. We will have the media game this Sunday, and he is back, and that's my head. Yep, boom.
So like 90% of the people that agreed to play in the media game are now at the Gold Cup on Sunday.
Yeah.
Like everyone but you and Johnny.
1v1
worker. Of course, Cabana Boy Jeff is ready to jump in. So we're up to 2v2.
It's set. It is done.
Check back with me on the media game. The media game's in dire straits right now. The media game's looking like the Oakland Athletics' future in the Bay, like tenuous at best, But
unless we do big three tournament style where it's only one goal.
We're just going to throw a panic court right in the middle and just have you jerks go.
Love it.
Jump in, play King's Court. Oh my golly. Okay, so let's tell you about Sunday. Sunday, Empire's in town, and normally I'd just say okay, whatever. But a lot of cool things are happening for Sunday's match above and beyond San Diego, hopefully taking another 3 points from Paul Wright and friends. Starting with FanFest. Let's start there. This is happening out in the parking lot. First FanFest we've had this season. It'll be from 3 to 5 p.m. And Spencer Ishii are incredible, amazing, along with Ezra and Sonora and John, the folks that are the employees of the Soccers, working every day behind the scenes, understaffed, but with enough heart to carry the load all the way down the road. Here's what's going on for FanFest. It's in the north parking lot, right next to the box office. Food vendors who will be there will include a taco bar, Tosti Locos. I don't know what Tosti Locos. Pastries.
Love it.
Dordi Bueno 760 chamoy candies will be there. $10 margaritas will be available out at FanFest. Plus, for the kids, face paint and animal balloons, a jumpy jump, a Soccer's booth, plus dancers, plus a mariachi band. So all of that is happening on Hispanic Heritage Night at the pregame Soccer's Fan Fest from 3 to 5 p.m. Pretty nice. Make sure you come early. Make a little time for it, right? If you're not going to come at 3, come at 4. Show up at 4, check it out, enjoy, maybe support one of those vendors who have come out there and working hard out in the parking lot. Get yourself a taco, get yourself a margarita. What's a Tosti Loco?
Tosti Locos, Craig, are the insane creation of some young Mexican woman where she got the tostitos, the Mexican salsa verde tostitos, put them on the side, cut it, added peanuts, diced cucumber, pork cueritos. I don't know how you say that. The vinegar, pork skin and vinegar type of thing.
Okay.
Chamoy, chile, limon. You could put some chacachacas, which is some tamarind type Mexican candy, that spicy sweetness. You throw that in there, you throw a fork in it, and it's honestly absolutely phenomenal. It will give you heartburn for the next several days, but it's incredible. Just if you're into like sour things, or just like tangy, that sort of world, I would highly recommend it. You don't have to get the tostitos with the cueritos with the pork skins, but you can absolutely add everything else, and it's like a fiesta. It's literally a fiesta of a botana, of just a snack.
Fiesta in your mouth.
My mouth started watering. Sorry, it's absolutely.
I kind of feel like maybe we should get one of these, Tony, and in case the match is the type of match that we hope it will be, and it's not, one goal in the fourth quarter, then maybe we have some fourth quarter Tosti Locos. Just a little live taste test.
I think I'm very down. Well, again, I have to be at prime shape to maybe go down those stairs, but I will.
Let's find out. Let's find out. It could be a second half thing. It'd be a second half thing. It would be your snack.
No, I like that. Here, let me just give you a quick visual of what this is, just because, it's literally a fiesta.
Wow.
It's
okay. All right. Feeling it.
Heck yeah.
Spicy chips. So those look like Takis. So you mix some Takis in there too?
You can put some Takis. There's Takis Locos. I mean, it just took off as something that people started doing, almost like a poutine in the snack aisle of a Mexican aisle of food for less. It just kind of took a life of its own. You can
the Mexican poutine.
Yeah, there's tostielotes. You can throw some corn in there, and it's just a culture of its own. I'm glad we can have the moment, Craig. I just shared what Tosti Locos are. Great.
Yeah, bacterial culture in there as well, just depending on how long it's left out.
Right.
But listen, as long as it's left out till the fourth quarter, maybe we can do that on Sunday. I think that would be a lot of fun. Here, hang on. I'm going to hold up the giveaway scarf. This is free to everyone on Sunday.
Mira nomás. Qué chulada. I love that. That is a beautiful, beautiful design. Honestly, the Soccer's merch has been on point this year. Just those. And is that those are the cool San Diego scarves, right?
That is a summer scarf. Exactly.
Ooh,
that's a summer scarf. So that's, honestly, for San Diego, a summer scarf is also a winter scarf because it's really not that cold here in San Diego. So it works all the way. But I think this is a really, really cool design. This is maybe my second favorite giveaway scarf we've ever done behind the first year that Jerry was here. He had a beautiful, beautiful scarf. So really, really good, cool stuff. You get that. Make sure you get in early. I mean, if we have a huge crowd on Sunday, we could run out. But, make sure you just get in there, get to the Fan Fest, enjoy some Tosti Locos, enjoy some margaritas, enjoy some tacos, enjoy some mariachi, have the kids jump around in the jumpy jump, do the whole thing, face painting, do it all. And then it's match day. It's the Sockers and the Empire Strikers. It's match 5 of 6. They're going to play the next 2 times here this week, next week on the 17th, up there in Empire. And look, here's the situation, plain and simple, okay? In 30 minutes up there in Empire, Chihuahua will kick off against the Strikers. So go Empire. The match after that is for Chihuahua is Monterrey. It's Monterrey. And as we know, if there's one team that Chihuahua can't beat,
Yep.
or at least hasn't beaten, it's Monterrey. So the path to the Pacific Division regular season championship starts with talking about the Savage. The Savage have 3 matches in hand on San Diego. They play at Empire. They host Monterrey. They host Baltimore. They go to Tacoma for a pair next weekend, back to back. Not impossible that Tacoma picks one out of the group, but, you know, they haven't lost to an American team yet. And then they will host Empire, and then they'll go to Harrisburg to wrap up the season. And they'll, you know, pummel the Heat twice. So it goes down like this. If Chihuahua loses a game the rest of the year, if they lose to the Flash later this week, they play Thursday. They play Thursday at home. So you know, look, they played Sunday here. They play Tuesday in Empire tonight. They fly home tomorrow. Thursday, they host Monterrey. If the Flash win that game, then the Sockers have 4 points to spare the rest of the season. Means they could basically lose one more game and win a game in overtime the rest of the year. And they would be good. They'd be good. They'd be the Pacific Division champs. But if Chihuahua wins out, if they beat Monterrey, if they go 1-5 against the Flash, which seems like a reasonable result for the defending Ron Newman Cup champions, then the Sockers can only see one game into overtime that they win the rest of the year. They have to win every single match. And if they win every single match and one of them goes into overtime, they will finish 1 point ahead of Chihuahua at the end of the year. They cannot be tied with the Savage because tiebreaker is all Chihuahua. Yeah. So tie is lose. It's win or it's lose for San Diego. So, you know, you've got these 2 games against Empire. Sockers dropped a point in Empire last time. It's going to be another good crowd. Say what you want about the Strikers. They're drawing fans up in Inland Empire. So that, you know, but it's not the 3rd game of the week like it was the last time that San Diego was there, exhausted, bone tired, injured, everything else. The Sockers have a week to play Empire and then another week to play Empire. So look, no excuses. Got to win all 6 points. Got to just beat the tar out of the Strikers these 2 matches. And then it's very straightforward. It's Milwaukee, Kansas City, a back-to-back. The following weekend on the road, a Friday, Saturday, back-to-back. Got to take them all. Got to take them all. You can do it, but it's not easy. And if you get to that, then it's beat Tacoma at home, take the Pacific Division. But in all likelihood, it is going to come down to that last game. If the Sockers do their job, it's going to come down to that very last game. And to wrap things up, Gabriel Costa is training with the team. It is straight up down to when his cast comes off. So I don't think it comes off this week, but when it comes off, he'll be ready the next game because he's already training. He's already working with the club. He just can't play with the cast on because, of course, he would be immediately suspended because he would probably wave his arm arguing an official's call and it would graze the jersey of an opposing player and it would be a 5-game suspension or something like that.
Yeah. Attempted murder, a weapon on the field. Yeah, no,
right.
It's almost comically predictable. We jest, but at the same time, there's just a hint of truth. That's unfortunate.
Leo is working his way back, and he definitely intends to be back sooner than later. He intends to be back well before the playoffs. But when we talk about well before the playoffs, that could be next week in Empire. It could be the trip It could be the Midwest trip. You'd hope to not only have one game to get those guys worked in on the 30th, but if that did happen to be the case, the Sockers had one game to get Tavoy Morgan worked in the COVID season, and then they went into the playoffs and they won the championship. And that needs to be something that Sockers fans keep in mind. We're not going to be a favorite the rest of the year. We shouldn't be a favorite the rest of the year. Chihuahua's the favorite to win the West. Monterrey's the favorite to win the MASL. It's not shaming our club. It's not doing anything to say that that's the case, that we're the third selection right now in the MASL, and that's the way it's gonna be. But the Sockers were the fifth selection in 2021, and they won the championship, and they beat the two number one seeds that year on the way to the championship. So just keep that in mind. Playoff dates will be announced, Gabe, as soon as we get them. There's some tentative things, and as usual, it's all up in the air. Nothing is official. There's nothing I'm allowed to announce, and I'm not going to jump out of my skis. But, you can think where it's probably going to land, which is the first week of April, the second week of April, and probably somewhere around the third and fourth week of April. It'll be there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we have to make sure to take care of is look inwards at the Sockers organization and build your own castle and focus on being the best version of yourself and this team that could possibly be going into those playoffs. And if you are that best possible version, again, the soccer team could take anybody right now if executed correctly. So it has to be from the coaching into the play, into the gameplay, into the mentality. Everybody has to be in tip-top Magoo shape.
Let's wrap it up. Let's put it right there. The wagons have been circled. We heard some great stuff from Felipe. I got to rip the league like 3 times.
People seem to enjoy that. I enjoy it.
They do. I mean, they really do. It's funny that way. And then someone will get mad, and maybe I'll get a text or a call down the road. The dude swung his elbow at the back of our guy's head, and the other guy bit him in the shoulder. What do you want? What does he want from you? Stay tuned tomorrow. Might even want to listen to Annie and Elston tomorrow on 97.3. I mean, you should every day. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., 97.3 The Fan, San Diego's #1 sports station. But got a question about Front Wave. Might hear some interesting things about Front Wave tomorrow.
Ooh.
And again on Monday.
Oh. Question mark. Okay.
Stay tuned.
Hey, where was that again?
Annie and Elston, 97.3 The Fan.
Of course.
Tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Some stuff coming out. When they're ready to announce it, we'll be right there to talk about it. But that's it for today. Thanks to Felipe Gonzalez. Thanks to all of you for tuning in on our show. We appreciate you so much. This is a destination. This is something that we do above and beyond for the fans, for the community, for indoor soccer. And it's our pleasure. It's our privilege to be here to do it with you. Tony, let everyone know where they can find you.
Absolutely. You can go ahead and find everything I do on _Tony Sanchez on the tweets, on the X, and then San Diego Football coverage of the Gold Cup, San Diego Soccers. Everything soccer in San Diego happens there. Go ahead and join us every Monday at 8. Craig?
For me, you can follow me on Twitter if you want at 619 Sports. Follow me on Instagram, 619 Sports and Life. That's where you'll get some fun pictures along the way. I'll be at the Gold Cup semis tomorrow doing PA for USA, Canada, and Brazil, Mexico. That should be a fun one. But we wanted to get you out of here in time to go grab a bite, grab a beverage, and settle in for Strikers and the Savage and our boys, Philly and Doc and Panda up in Ontario. Until we talk to you next week, for Tony Sanchez, for Felipe Gonzalez, I'm Craig Elston. Thanks so much for watching, and go Sockers!